Well, everyone, the day has finally come. We just got a cinematic reveal trailer for Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is the up-and-coming Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan, featuring two protagonists and being developed by Ubisoft Quebec, which is the same team that put together Assassin's Creed Odyssey and, of course, Assassin's Creed Syndicate before that. This is a huge team. They've spent 4 years making this game, which is already like 33% more time than they spent making Odyssey, which was huge in its own right. So I'm expecting this game to just be cataclysmically huge and for there to be a lot of content. And while we haven't gotten a lot of looks at that content, we did get a good amount of information today about what this game is, not just thematically, which this cinematic trailer is trying to establish, but also from interviews that the team did with IGN and other outlets, and also with information that's available on their website, some of which is cool. Others we'll talk about. But listen, at the outset, I just want to get a couple things cleared up. For one, this was a cinematic trailer. This is something Ubisoft has done for like a decade. They reveal these games with a cinematic trailer, and then they do the gameplay reveals at a later date, usually a few weeks later at their June showcase. Prior to the last couple of years, it was at E3. Now it's at their own Ubisoft Forward event. This is all very normal. Those of us who have covered Assassin's Creed stuff for a long time are well aware of this, but it still seems some people were genuinely surprised that they didn't have gameplay in this cinematic story trailer. And so I just want to be clear that that was never going to happen here. They never said it was going to happen here. That happens in June. You should still never pre-order. You should never pre-order, period, but definitely not before you see the game itself. This is a cinematic. Like, what are you doing if you're pre-ordering right now? Like, stop. In addition to that, I know a lot of people were taken by surprise by the fact that Yusuke is a playable character in this. This is something that's been rumored and leaked for, at this point, I think like 2 or 3 years. So those of us who have been following the Assassin's Creed leaks and stuff, this was all already known. So I guess it didn't come as that much of a surprise to me and my audience. But I do know there are some of you out there that maybe did not realize that this was going to be a thing. And it is true that Yusuke was a real person in the real world in this time period that did exist, but it seems that they are massaging the historical record pretty heavily to say that he was a samurai. It seems like he was a vassal of a local lord that was one of the big guys that unified Japan during this time period. So they kind of took a nugget of historical fact and then expanded it to make a playable character they thought could fit well within their vision for what this game would be. And for everybody that's like freaking out about that, I would just remind you that the last Assassin's Creed game this team worked on, which was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, started in Greece, really mellow with like a couple references to Sparta. This is Sparta and the Spartan kick and all that. And then by the end of the game, you were fighting actual Medusas and Cyclopses and Minotaurs and stuff. So I don't think anybody should be surprised that they're massaging the historical record just a wee bit. It's a video game at the end of the day, okay? If you're playing an Assassin's Creed game to get one-to-one historical recreations of cities and stuff, maybe you can have fun with it that way. But if you're looking for like total historical accuracy, I would just ask you if you've ever heard of Assassin's Creed before. That's never really been the goal. I mean, the whole premise of the Templar Order versus... Why am I explaining? You get it. It's a video game, okay? It was never going to be like perfectly mirrored to what historically happened. You know, this is not Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's not trying to be hyper realistic. It's just trying to make a fun video game where you can play as a shinobi and then also as a samurai. And in that pursuit, I think they're probably going to do a decent job. If you don't want to play the game because of that historical tweak that they did, okay, cool. That said, the trailer didn't really do a whole lot to amaze me or impress me. I guess it's because most of this stuff was leaked ahead of time that I saw it coming and nothing was really that shocking. It was like, yep, I knew most of this already. I think that's why it wasn't that exciting to me. But what was interesting to me was actually this article posted on IGN delving deep into the gameplay systems, which we'll get to see more of in June. And this is where the game actually starts to sound like something very, very unique and interesting. You see, if you go to the website for the game and you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see pictures like this, and you'll see that they smoothly transition between like a summer shot of one area and then a winter shot covering it with snow and everything. And this has to do with what is seemingly going to be the main gameplay system that ties all of the gameplay loops together, and that is a seasons system with all different dynamic weather and things like that. You see, they describe all sorts of things such as a fleshed out stealth system where you're able to like put out lights and sneak through the shadows that way, stuff like that keeps things dynamic. And then they start describing a modern dynamic lighting system. So there's radiance from sunlight, torches, and lanterns that illuminate the land and you. So again, you can alter light sources to create new darkness that you can stealth through. So it seems like stealth is a major component of most of the mission design. But they also describe traversal and things like that, where they're giving you a grapple hook now, which is something we saw in the trailer, and that's going to be an element of exploration as well. And how this all ties together with the weather system and the seasonal systems is really interesting. You can see here, much of Shadows' new design is focused on creating a living, reactive world. You can see that in the dynamic lighting and destruction, because there's a lot of destructible environment stuff as well, but there's a much greater system at play: seasons. The open world progresses through spring, summer, autumn, and winter, with each new period bringing its own weather conditions and terrain shifts. Now, when I heard terrain shifts, I was like, what on earth does that mean? But it actually is pretty cool. You see, while this helps lend a sense of realism to the land, dynamic winds will procedurally blow swirls of pollen in the spring and pull leaves from branches in the fall. Each season can have a dramatic impact on gameplay. It's not just visual. Quote, "We've been really pushing about making sure that gameplay and art are not separate, but that they're intertwining." In other words, they want to make sure that when it's fall, it doesn't just look like fall, but it feels like fall in the gameplay. They want the fall, the winter, the spring, all to play differently. And they're doing that in some creative ways. One example they offered was how in summer you can use the new prone stance, so you can crawl, and you can go into a pond and hide beneath the surface of the water. Sounds cool. You can go into the water in the pond and stealth away and around different people. And an example of this would be this pond here underneath this little bridge that goes across there. So maybe if you're doing this mission, you want to jump in the water and swim underneath to get around this guy on the bridge and get around these guys that are patrolling over here. But in the winter, this pond would be frozen, and they thought of that. So this will be frozen. You can no longer go that route to stealth around this guy. You will have to play differently based on the seasons. The other description and example that they give is when you're climbing around, like say a castle. When it goes to winter, icicles will appear along the ramparts, as you can see here. In summer, of course, there are no icicles, but in winter, if you're stepping on those areas, icicles can fall down and alert the guards that are standing on the ramparts nearby, since it would make a sound or maybe even land on one of them. So seasonal changes will actually alter the way that you play. Furthermore, they describe how it will alter the AI and behaviors of the NPCs. So the example they give is in winter, it's cold. So guards that are patrolling would probably try to stay closer to sources of warmth. So that if there's like a large brazier or like a campfire or something near where they're patrolling, they will stay closer to that as opposed to patrolling far away as they would in the summer when maybe they wouldn't want to stay close to the fire since it's already hot enough. So they're describing systems that actively change and dynamically shift as you go through season to season to season as you play through the game. And they describe how the seasons will shift with the game's main narrative. Maybe after the story's over, you can manually swap to different seasons if you like playing in one more than the other. That would be nice. But it's a really novel and interesting idea. And it's something that I haven't really seen in games, that level of dynamism between different times of year. And I think it is designed in this way because obviously they want you to play this game for months or years or what have you. And so they want you to continue coming back for more and more and more. And if you clear out this castle, for example, just like any other base in Assassin's Creed, they want you to go back and be able to clear it again, but for it to feel different. So what they could do is they could have you clear it out in, say, the spring, and then it turns to winter, and all of a sudden it's been reinvaded, they reclaimed it, and you have to clear it out again, but this time it's winter, so you have to take a different approach. And there's a lot of other systems they described in this article that will follow through with this same effect, such as windstorms, making it so there's a lot of noise in an environment, so you don't have to stealth as carefully, since that will cover up the noise of your footsteps. Or the other cool one was that in the winter, all of the grass will have died, so you can't just like crouch in bushes and stuff, since there's no foliage or leaves on them, and the grass is all dead and short. But in the spring and summer, when all the grass grows tall and the bushes get thick with leaves and everything, you can then stealth through those even though you wouldn't have been able to just a few months in game before that. It seems really interesting, and at the very least, it's novel. It's something different we haven't gotten in Assassin's Creed games before, and it's something I haven't really seen in other games that present stuff like this, and it has me intrigued because it is very different from anything we've seen before, and it all seems to tie around stealth systems. It's not really clear how any of this will affect Yasuke's gameplay, which is much more melee focused. It all seems focused around our female protagonist, Naoe, who is all stealth focused, and that gets me excited that maybe they are actually really focusing on stealth encounters this time around, which will be a welcome change from Valhalla. But listen, we're going to see a lot more of this stuff when the game is fully revealed in June, when they show us gameplay and all of that stuff. We could look at like the screenshots that they shared and stuff like that, and there's some stuff to be gleaned from this, but again, they're still shots. You just never really know what you can take away from it other than like broad strokes information. Time will tell. What we can look at more specifically are a couple of other little tidbits, such as what the pricing's like. They are offering a $70, $110, $130 version, or you can pay $18 for a month of access to the game, and you get 3-day early access and all the other Ultimate Edition stuff. And here's the deal. I know I'm gonna like maybe tick off some Ubisoft fans or something by saying this, but like, here's the deal. I understand these games are stupid expensive to make. I get it, and they need to recoup that money somehow. I can sympathize with that. These games are massive. They involve thousands of employees for years, and that means these games cost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to make. I don't know how much this game made, but it easily, especially when you factor in marketing and stuff, this easily could end up being well over 500 million or even more when all is said and done. So I understand the need to get more revenue and stuff out of it. That being said, I don't like some of these pre-order bonuses. I don't like how they're doing some of these things. For one, I don't like there being exclusive bonus quests. And I know they're only exclusive for a little bit of time and eventually they'll come to everybody else. But I just, as a matter of principle, don't like it. I didn't like it when Hogwarts Legacy did it with the like evil dungeon arena thing that they did. That was exclusive. I don't like it here. I don't like exclusive content locked behind either pre-orders or more expensive editions. I think it is weirdly dividing of the fan base. It is kind of toxic because you're creating content and then taking away from people unless they are irrational and put money up ahead of time, or unless they spent more money. Like it's sucky. But Luke, you could just go with the Ultimate Edition through day one with Ubisoft Plus, and then you only pay $18, and it's actually cheaper than base version, and you get all that stuff. Yeah, but you're paying $18 like for a month's access. Like it's literally renting the game. Already, it's kind of a meme that when you buy a Ubisoft game, you're renting it after the crew stuff that happened just like a few weeks, maybe even a month ago. So already that's a whole thing. Do you think that's really a solution? Like, I don't think so. In addition, the other stuff they revealed are things like this: early access to the game, season passes, which season passes I'm okay with. If you're going to do expansions and you sell it to me as a chunk beforehand, like, okay, they did that, I'm pretty sure, with like The Witcher 3. They've done it with a bunch of other games that I love. So be it. That's not a huge deal to me. A bunch of crazy skins, not for me, but that's a thing, I guess, if you're interested. The 3-day early access doesn't surprise me at all. I think that FOMO is much more potent and powerful a motivator compared to even like skins and cosmetics. So I fully expect a lot of people will be buying the gold edition just to play it early because, again, FOMO is a real thing. I don't love this stuff. I wish, yeah, again, if I was the almighty God Emperor of gaming, I would just make it so all games cost the same and have all the content included instantaneously. I understand it's not that simple. The games industry is a little bit broken right now because these games are so expensive and they need a lot of money out of each player in order to break even. I get that, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. I saw other stuff where people were bringing up that you are going to need like an online internet connection to activate the game when you buy it physically. That's something people also were upset about with Star Wars Outlaws when that was revealed. My understanding is that is an unfortunate industry standard right now because pretty much every game gets day one patches since they tend to ship in a like alpha state, or not alpha, beta state basically. So it's pretty standard, unfortunately, now that you need an internet connection to activate your license with the game. Again, I don't like it, but it is just how things are now, unfortunately. But listen, as we get closer to this game's launch, I'm sure I'm going to make further videos on it and discuss it, and hopefully I even get my hands on the game early and I can let you know if it's awesome or if it's not. And that's my commitment to you. My other commitment to you guys is that I will try to call it like it is whenever I see something concerning. In my experience, Ubisoft has been pretty receptive to those pieces of feedback. It seems like the decisions for stuff like pricing and exclusive cosmetics and stuff, those decisions are made pretty high up, well above my pay grade, but nonetheless, I will try to voice those to any contacts that I have. But after this reveal, I think a lot of us are interested and think that this has potential, especially after hearing some of the gameplay systems that they've been developing for this. But I do think there are still a lot of questions. There's questions about scope. There's questions about balancing between the two protagonists. There's questions about whether magic is in this game, because again, in Odyssey, there was lots of supernatural stuff. So it's kind of a question like, are we going to fight dragons in this game? Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised at all, because again, it's Assassin's Creed. It's not trying to be super historically grounded, and Assassin's Creed really never has. The whole Isu storyline is not exactly grounded, but that's a topic for another day. What I do think we will need to keep an eye on, though, are the revelations as it pertains to Assassin's Creed Infinity, because Assassin's Creed Infinity is the live service hub that this game is being built for. And if you don't know what it is, basically it's the same platform as Call of Duty HQ, or think of like when you boot up a game like Fortnite, where it has all the different game modes and stuff. They want there to be a singular hub like that for Assassin's Creed, where you can boot up Assassin's Creed Shadows, where you can boot up whatever the next game is, which is going to be a multiplayer game, or any of the other stuff. They want there to be a centralized hub for all of it. And as part of that, there's been reporting that they're going to do things like battle passes. They're going to do things like mini battle passes that they're calling projects, where you complete various activities for cosmetics for the characters within each individual respective game that you're completing the mini battle pass for. It all just sounds painful, I think is the word, and I am not thrilled for it. Like, while I do think there's a lot of potential for this game when it comes to like the gameplay mechanics that they put forward here, it seems like it's going to be a pretty vast and epic single player adventure, and that's all great. But like, one of the reasons I like single player games is because they don't do these live service things that are commonly found in multiplayer games. It's one of the perks of playing a single player game, is that you're not bogged down with all that crap. So to hear that they're bringing it here, I understand again why. I understand these games are really expensive. I understand there are a lot of players out there that like grinding for cosmetics and stuff, even in single player games. I'm personally not one of those, but I understand there are people out there. But I'm going to tell you what I think, and this is something that I personally just don't like. Well, with so much of this, it seems like people have very strong opinions, full stop, with this game. It seems like some people are super stoked, other people are pissed about various things from the cinematic trailer, or we're expecting gameplay for some reason. And I understand all of that, but I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. I will be reading through them, because I think that you can hear a very vocal minority of people if you're looking on certain platforms like Twitter or X or whatever, and you start to get an idea of a certain narrative there. But then you go on to like the comment section of the trailer over here, and you see a different response. Then you hear other communities over here that are very outspoken. And I think the big thing I've taken away from it is that the people who are really big fans of Assassin's Creed, they don't tend to make their voices heard that much in comment sections or in replies and retweets and stuff. It seems like they are big fans of the franchise, but they don't tend to vocalize it a ton for fear of maybe like being teased or bullied online, because it's really popular at this moment to bash Ubisoft and people that like Ubisoft games. I can understand why Ubisoft has made it easy in the past to poke at them and to make fun of them, and they've made some decisions that I find very problematic, let's just say. But I don't think anybody should be bullied for liking a game. You know, like if you like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I think you're maybe unwell, but that's totally up to you. Like, more power to you. I realize I don't think of that as like bullying. I just think like, are you okay? I mean, at the very least, you are one of 113 people that is enjoying that game. And for that, I I wish you the best. With that being said, I do think that unfortunately there's a lot of people that feel they can't even vocalize that they're excited for this game without getting pounced on by various people upset about 1,000 different things. So I would ask that everybody in the comments is maybe a little bit more forgiving. Let's hear each other out, because this is a very smart community and I think everybody's got interesting perspectives. So let me know what you think of this in the comment section. With all that said, I've been talking and filming for like 9-10 hours at this point, and my throat is angry. So I'm gonna call it there. Thank you for watching. I love you all desperately.